That's what I tell people all the time. Like it is literally just organic lead generation. No matter how fast it's happening or how slow it's happening, it's free and it's organic traffic to your list and to your community.
And so, the best time to start something like this was like years ago. And like the second best time is today. Like,
Oh, yeah. And I'm Elizabeth. And on this YouTube channel, I help business owners master the leadership skills and ways of being that it takes to grow and scale a community around your business. But don't worry, I provide real life actionable tips, quick wins, just like this video for growing your Facebook group. Welcome, Angie.
hi.
I'm so excited to have you today. Community builders, we have a special treat, my absolute BFF, Angie McPherson. And I know there's a lot of you in this group that haven't maybe been following my journey for the last decade, but Angie has been a part of that. We built our photography businesses side by side. She was literally like, hey, do you want to go like shoot around? And we had like a random meetup with a couple of girls and never looked back. And now we're both in this like digital entrepreneur space with courses and memberships and all the things. So I am just beyond excited to have you.
Oh my gosh. It's been years and our businesses have changed so much. It's so crazy to think about.
But I'm so excited. While Angie and I could literally talk about everything business and everything the last 10 years, the main thing I want to focus about today is her Facebook community, because she started it not even a year ago. I was going to make all of this content based on it being 1 year later, but we're more at like the 10-month mark, I think.
Yeah, it was definitely less than a year. So it's been a great place for me to pour into my community, but it's also a great place for photographers to pour into each other. And I just love that because they'll talk about pricing and marketing and booking clients. And it's not just from one perspective, from me to them, it's from the whole community towards each other.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so let me give a little bit of context. So Angie was very resistant to starting a Facebook community, not because she doesn't love them, but she just didn't want to have like another area to like pour her time and energy to. But then finally she was like, you know what, I am going to do it. And like, I kind of sat down and I told her a little bit about how I help people. Angie, tell us a little bit about like why you finally made the decision to go for it and kind of how you set up the group or what you feel like the vision of the group is.
Yeah, so I was apprehensive for years because I had Facebook groups for my courses, my programs. And I was like, man, if I have another Facebook group, it's just going to be more work and I'm going to have to be trying to balance everything. And so I'm like, okay, well, maybe I could fit in some more engagement, in between my launches, in between my courses in a public Facebook group, especially because I get so many DMs with questions about branding photography. And I'm like, man, these questions are so good. If I had a hub where I could have all these conversations where other people can see the answers and where other people could have, good feedback and insight into things, it would be great. And it doesn't have to be people that have invested in my courses or have mentored with me. And so I launched this Facebook group and I got your help because I was like, how can I really leverage this group and also be building my list at the same time? Because these are people who may not have even seen me. These are people who other photographers may have invited them. I want to be able to communicate with them with my email list as well, because I have freebies and master classes and things like that, weekly inspiration and education. And so you told me to put in the questions, basically, would you like to download my free, opt-in? And you introduced me to this, it's like a tool or an app or a plugin or something.
Yeah, group leads.
That does it automatically. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this saves me so much time from having to go and manually input email addresses every single time somebody joins my Facebook group. So that is how not only have I been building my Facebook community, but building my email list at the same time. And if I could put like a percentage, I think probably 70 to 80% of people who enter my Facebook community are also opting into my email list. So I'm like rapidly building my email list with just people who could eventually enroll in my courses, book me for strategy calls, come to my in-person events. It's just been this godsend lead generator as well as community builder.
Oh my gosh, I love it. And I feel like I happened to catch this the other day in your group too. Someone was like, oh my God, I'm so glad I found this group because I'm in a lot of photography groups, but nothing specifically to branding photography. And I was like, of course, like from what I do, I was like, yes, like people are finding her group, not just from your other platforms, but they're finding your group because they're on Facebook looking for a group.
Exactly. It's like organic, capture. So it's like once they find it, they're like, oh my goodness, I know other branding photographers who really need to join, and they're inviting people to it. And that's a nice surprise too.
Oh my gosh. That's what I tell people all the time. Like it is literally just organic lead generation. No matter how fast it's happening or how slow it's happening, it's free and it's organic traffic to your list and to your community. And even if you drop the ball and don't post content or engage in there super often, like yours is kind of have this life of its own that you can take days off from the group, like you're still getting leads. So like, even if you drop the ball inside the group, people are still taking that initiative to join the group, which means they're getting on your list and you can touch them in other places. And so another like kind of atypical result that you have had is this like natural engagement that photographers are asking questions and posting pictures. And I think there's a couple of things happening here that you have like nailed, which is just your overall kind of like online presence. And I think when you're present on all the platforms, it makes it easier for people to be reminded to be in your group, to engage. Whereas like the coaching space, like people are very nervous to ask for help or to like show anything. Like what would they
Right.
even show? They're not going to post a picture of themselves and be like, I'm really stuck on how to build an email list, right? Like
Right.
it's very, very different. So I never want people to play the comparison game because photographers are in kind of this separate entity. But what you got right was niching down to like a specific type of photography. And then
Right.
also kind of like your personal brand, like infused to all of it.
Yeah, and I really like to dive into what I'm best at. And I always give people that advice, like whatever you're good at, dive into that. Now, some people thrive in maybe an audio, like, podcasting. They could be putting exclusive, podcast episodes in their Facebook community and then driving people there. So I always recommend like whatever you're good at, whatever you have an expertise in, use that in your Facebook group. I'm good at live. I'm good at just really going back and forth with people on questions. And so people have different strengths, have different weaknesses. I really just say like pour into your strength into your Facebook community.
Yes, I love that so much. And I feel like yours is such a good balance of organic conversations, but then your personal brand is present. Like it's not the Angie show, but then
Right.
it's not also like Angie's not there, right? Like
Right.
it is that perfect balance.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's so many questions that I can't even answer. Like I'm a Canon girl. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, what Nikon should I get? I'm like, well, I'm glad you asked in here because there's a 1,200 people in here. I'm sure one of them can help you because I don't know anything about Nikon.
Oh my gosh. Do you ever get like people that ask you questions privately and then you encourage them to ask in the group? Or do you just like make note of the question and talk about it later?
That's a great question. I've had some questions where, like you said, they're perfect for the group. And I'll say, oh my gosh, this is so great. Can you ask this in the group? But if there's something like private that, maybe they're having a problem with a client or something they probably don't want publicized, I'll take note of it and then make it like a general question in the Facebook community. Like I'll add it to my Q&A as a general question.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, so walk us through like the launch of the group because I feel like you went from 0 to 500 members like pretty quickly. Again, I feel like there needs to be this like disclaimer of like, don't compare. These results are not typical.
Yeah,
Um,
it was pretty quick. I had a lot of lead into it. I built the page, I put the graphics on it, like the cover page and the description and everything. And then I launched it to my business page, my business Facebook page. I launched it to my email community, which already had thousands of photographers. I launched it to my Instagram. I think I may even have put it on LinkedIn. Everywhere that I showed up online where my audience was, I launched it. And I'm pretty sure that I went live pretty quickly to kind of really showcase that value, showcase my personality, and showcase that I'm there and that this isn't just a place to just hang out and do nothing. Like I wanted to show them that there's going to be value here. So those first couple of days, I was very, very active. I did the Facebook Live. I also did a location thread. So I just said, say what state you're located in, and then reply to everyone or reply to whatever state you're in. So somebody would say California, and then under that comment, it would say Los Angeles, Orange County and Santa Barbara. So people could easily find each other by location. I've had so many photographers say, oh, I met a photographer in this community. We met up for headshots, we met up for coffee. And so those first couple of weeks, I was really active in just creating engagement, creating opportunities for people to come in, comment, say something, upload a photo. I had a bunch of prompts, very, very active in those first few weeks. And I kind of pin every now and then I'll pin some of the same types of prompts just to have like a new place for new people that come in every month. to feel that they haven't missed out, on connecting with people.
Oh my gosh, that's so smart. And what a good example of like business is simple, right? Like those kind of posts worked in Facebook groups 10 years ago and they still
Yeah,
work today,
they
right?
do. They
And I'm
do.
over here like squishing my brain, like what really prompting, thoughtful question can I ask today? When sometimes it can be as simple as,
Awesome.
share your handle on a different platform, and it's like
Yeah.
location thread, like so funny how, because I'm in it, I'm not thinking like simple, and simple
Right.
works.
Right. Yeah. And I'll literally like sit back for like half an hour and be like, man, what kind of prompt can I put? But I'm like, girl, just keep it simple. It doesn't
Keep it
have to be
simple.
this thought-provoking thing.
So what would you say is like your favorite way to drive traffic to the group now that we're almost a year later and you're not in this big like launching of the group phase? Do you kind of
Right.
just like remind people? Do you talk about it on your other platforms?
My favorite way is creating new content. And like I said, my expertise is live. So I'll do a Facebook Live once a month and I will send it to my email list beforehand. Like, hey, I'll send them a valuable email. And at the bottom, be like, if you want to learn more about this topic, I'm going live in my Facebook group, next Friday at 12 p.m. And so on the front end, I'm pushing people to the group for more content leading up to it. And then the morning of, hey, I'm going live today on Facebook to my email list, to my Instagram, to wherever. And then after the video is done, I'll take a little screen grab of me talking and put it in my email marketing and have it linkable to the Facebook Live and say, in case you missed it, I went live, and I'll bullet point everything that I talked about. And it just baffles me how many new people join the Facebook group that have been on my email list for years.
Yes.
And month to month, they're finally hopping into the Facebook group.
Oh my gosh, the reminding is huge. And that's like the easiest thing to teach people right away if they're like, oh, my Facebook group is not engaged. It's like, well, are you sending email newsletters reminding them of what's going on? Because everybody's busy. I mean, think about all the things that we see on a daily basis that we want to engage with and we don't.
Right. They say it takes like, 7 times for people to see something and to convert. So don't be afraid to remind people you're doing them a favor because it's going to be valuable content. You're doing them a favor by reminding them of what they're missing out on.
Yes. And then it's less work for us because we're just reminding instead of creating new stuff.
Right.
Like I used to be the queen of like, I got to create new stuff for all the different platforms. And like, now it's like, how can I leverage all of these conversations?
Oh my gosh, yes, that has been for sure a big marketing strategy of mine, is not to keep creating new all the time, but just repurposing what I've already done. So my Facebook Lives, I will repurpose them and take little 60-second clips and put them on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. I'll download the whole video and upload it into YouTube as just a brand new video because I'm still answering questions and providing value.
Oh that was actually going to be my next question, is if you were repurposing your Facebook videos.
Yeah,
So
even for my blog too. I'll put it on my blog.
And so, but it starts with your Facebook group. Not always. I know sometimes you choose to start on a different platform. Like when you're creating for YouTube specifically, it's like a different project than when you're repurposing.
Yeah.
Have you taken advantage of the thumbnails yet for your videos so that all your videos inside your Facebook group have a thumbnail? Have you done that yet?
Yeah, I will. I have like a standard like thumbnail look in Canva. So anytime I upload like horizontal video to LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook group, Facebook business page, I use the similar look. So it's instant. Yeah.
It just like makes it so much easier to point back to, because I found like people were asking the same questions over and over. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to find that video when I go into my media section and it's all just my head, right?
Exactly. You're like, what was I even talking about? Yeah.
So that thumbnail makes it so much easier to just grab and share with them, or to point back to. Sometimes if I'm having a week where I'm not really engaged in the group as much, I just point back to an old video or use an old video for my newsletter. I mean, it's just like, it never runs out of things to remind or bring back, like you said, for all those new members.
Exactly.
Okay. So I know there was one time where you said to me, like, Liz, I actually wish I had done this sooner.
Yeah.
Can you speak to that a little bit as to what prompted you to have that, like, man, a Facebook group really is a good thing, and I kind of wish I would have done it sooner?
It's all about lead generation. I've been selling courses and digital products for years, and I'm only 10 months into this Facebook group. And I'm like, man, if I would have started this years ago, I'd have way more people in the group. I'd have way more people on my email list. I'd have way more people enrolling in my programs. And so, the best time to start something like this was like years ago. And like the second best time is today. Like, just do it. Like, if you're thinking like, oh, I don't know if, it's going to work out, like it's all about trial and error. Like, just test it out, start the group, come up with some prompts, go live in there, really share, the value, and really just foster the community so that people are really helping each other.
How much time do you feel like you spend in the group on a weekly basis?
Ooh, it depends. If I'm launching, I'm in there
Mm,
hours a day because lots of questions are coming in, lots of new people are coming in. If it's just a typical day, and when I say launch, it's like a 2 to 3 week period.
yeah.
But during just a typical season, probably 15, 30 minutes a day, just answering a couple questions.
Yeah. See, that's even more than me because your group is bigger. And that is something that, and more active, really. That is something that happens as the group gets bigger. There's more and more engagement. But again, it's like you don't have to be in those comments. You're choosing to, right? Because there might be opportunities to nurture relationships so that they're eventually, buying from you. I think about, I don't really have any actual answers to this. This is all just me kind of hypothesizing.
Mhm.
But I think some of these big companies know the value of a large Facebook group
Yeah,
versus just a large like Instagram profile, right?
yeah,
And it's a different type of investment for them because they're paying to be in front of a very specific container that has better watch rates, than just Instagram or just Facebook would. So it creates opportunity as well to like kind of just get it started and see what happens. Okay, so if you had any tips for anyone just getting ready to get started, what do you think you would say?
I would say, okay, tips for getting started with the Facebook community. I would say just create the page or create the group, first of all, make it all pretty, put your header photo, put your group rules, your things like that. Like, just get started with actually taking the action and creating the Facebook group. That's going to motivate you to go to the next steps. The next steps, I would just start gathering all your questions that you're getting from all these different platforms. And really, when you first pull your group in, put those pain points in the description, in your email. Hey, I'm starting a Facebook community. We're going to be talking about ABC, XYZ, like those common, pain points from people so that people who are going to join can say, oh, this is exactly what I've been looking for. This is the exact type of content I've been looking for. And then when you launch, just find your specific platforms where your people already are. So maybe your email list, maybe your Instagram account or TikTok or LinkedIn or wherever, and make a nice pretty little link, facebook.com/ whatever your group is called, instead of the numbers and the letters and the mumbo jumbo, and push it out there. And on its way in of the people that are coming into your group, have them give the opportunity to give them your email address to build your list, but to also give them access to extra content.
And another thing too that made me remember is those questions to enter is a great place to ask, like what's one thing they want to learn or something that they're struggling with.
Yeah,
And because you're using group leads, it all goes into a database. And
yeah,
like whenever I need to come up with a podcast episode or something to talk about, I go straight to that document.
yeah, for sure. That's
Yeah.
great. It's just like content, like market research.
Yeah. And it's just automatically put into that spreadsheet for me. So like, I don't have to think, I just go right to that spreadsheet. It's so freaking helpful. And
Yeah.
then if anyone watching has like a higher ticket offer and you're doing like more one-to-one nurturing, another thing that we've experimented with is going into that database and like, say, Susie's like, man, I'm really struggling with engagement in my Facebook group. I
Mhm.
could then go message her like 6 months later and just be like, hey, Susie, I saw when you joined the group that you were struggling with engagement. How's
Mhm.
that going for you?
That's
Right.
great.
And
That's
just
great.
have those DM conversations. And that's something that we experimented with, a while back, and we need to kind of pick it up again.
Yeah,
But
that's great.
especially like my high ticket salespeople that focus on sales calls, that's like such a good way. And then I'm going to share an Angie tip that has been like life changing. When you are launching an
Yeah.
Instagram, whichever platform, Angie will, you'll have to maybe speak to this, but I know you create a list of people to like purposely engage with because they know you're there, they are your warmest leads. Can you
Yeah,
speak a little bit to that like
yeah.
secret ninja sauce?
Yeah, anyone who's on a wait list. So if I'm launching a program, if I'm launching a program and somebody's joined the wait list, I'll go through in the wait list and I'm like, okay, who can I connect with on Instagram? Because I know that I'm launching this. I know that they're interested in this. I want them to see, my masterclass or join my Facebook group ahead of time so that when I tell them that the enrollment is open, it's not just a cold, like, hey, it's open. Like I want to warm them up. I want them to see that I know them, that I see them. And so I'll take a couple weeks and go through that list and really connect with these people on Instagram, commenting on their post and connecting with them in the DMs. And so, like I said, by the time I'm actually opening enrollment for whatever they've already signed up for the waitlist for, they're a very warm, even hot lead.
Yes, I love that. It's like one of those above and beyond things that we just don't think about, right? Because we're just like, oh, I'm just going to post. Oh, I'm just going to send this email. But there's so many more things that you could be doing to like reaching and touching your people. And I think that's something that you're so good at.
Yeah. And when you have a smaller community, like I don't have 1 million followers or even 100,000 followers, when you have a smaller community, it's the perfect opportunity to have those touch points because you have the access to touch these people. You don't have 1 million followers you're trying to connect with. Like you have those, those raving fans, those people who are so interested in and looking at your content and enrolling in your content. You can take the time and send voice messages and comment on DMs. It's so much easier with a smaller community.
Yeah, it really is. And I tell people that all the time, like your Facebook group should be a little bit smaller than your other platforms. I shouldn't use the word should, but the trend in the way I see it, and I'll be curious to see if you think of it this way too, is like Instagram is like first base, right? Like it's very possible that someone will discover us on Instagram for the first time, right? But then if they take that extra step to join our group, it's almost like second base. It's like they worked a little bit harder to like get into the group and be engaged. And it's like email newsletters, like kind of in that second, third base too. So it's like, there's our cold traffic, Instagram, where only 2% of people are seeing our stuff. Then they get onto our newsletter list and our Facebook group, and it's more like 40% is seeing our stuff. And then like eventually, I guess third base would be like buying.
Right. Exactly.
It's like a little bit of a different, they have to work a little harder to purposefully engage or join that Facebook group. And the groups that I love the most, I intentionally go there, right? Like I'm not waiting for the algorithm to tell me that something's going on. Like Social Curator used to be like this before they were on a different platform. I love the group Create, Cultivate. Like I will intentionally go to the search bar or go to my bookmark and go to that group. And that's what we want, is we want our groups to be so good that people are intentionally going there and not just waiting for the algorithm.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Anything, I know you're just coming off a launch, you're like a little bit under the weather. Is there anything else that you want to share about like that might be helpful as far as just community building in general, whether it's newsletter list, Facebook, or Instagram? I know those are like your three.
Yeah, those are my three. I would say, and it's crazy because years ago or a year ago, it was just two, like a Facebook community was not even on my radar. I would just say to be consistent in whatever you're doing. Like I said, pour into your strength, and be consistent in that strength. My strengths are showing up live. My strengths are creating Instagram reels that are like fun and engaging. So I'm trying to be as consistent with that as I can because I want people to know, like, and trust me and eventually enroll in my programs and see my personality. But if your strength is creating like really information packed carousel posts on Instagram or, vlog style YouTube videos, or just like beautifully written emails that aren't salesy or anything. It's like writing a blog and an email, like whatever your strengths are, be consistent in that, because that's going to create those raving fans, getting people excited. Like people who love that content are going to love any type of content that you decide to sell in the future. So just start being consistent with your own strengths.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And it's such a good reminder to not like force yourself to do something that you don't feel like is your gift.
Absolutely.
Yeah, such a good reminder. And I know we have quite a few photographers in this group. So if for some reason, I don't know how this would be possible, that you have not yet connected with Angie, make sure that you find her on Instagram at Angie Janine, and we'll put all this in the comments as well. And hop over to her Facebook group. You can literally search branding photography community or her name, and it will pop up in Facebook groups.
Yes, come on and join us.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Well, thank you so much for joining. This was like, it's just so funny to like see us in this capacity when we're literally like boxing all day, every day.
I know.
Oh my gosh.
So funny. I hear you all day, but I don't see you all day. So this is fun.
I know, unless it's like the one time a year that we get to see each other in person.
Right.
Oh my gosh. And just one last little nugget for you guys. If you don't have a business BFF, I highly recommend putting yourself out there and like finding your Angie, because I mean, a decade of business building, and I just can't imagine like doing it alone.
Oh my gosh, me neither. I don't know where I would be. I'd probably still be shooting weddings for 10 hours on Saturdays.
Oh my gosh. And now you're just doing lives with Jasmine Star. Like,
too funny, too
Oh
funny.
my
Yes. Well, thank you for having me, Liz. This was great.
yes, of course. I think this is probably like Angie episode number 3 on the Messy Success
I think
podcast.
so. I think so.
Cool. All right. Thanks, friend. All right. If this video was helpful, please don't forget to download our 25 conversation starters so that you can 2x your engagement inside your community in just 2 weeks.